Hi, Roomba ate my charger in my bedroom. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it. Let go. Yeah, I'm gonna do surgery on the Roomba here. Come on, you dumb old. Go on. You know you can. There. And this paper towel for good measure. It's so dirty. Almost like all it ever does is crawl around on the ground. Like, ew. So that has to go in there first. Get in the hole! Not get in the hole. Right? Ha! It did it. Okay, so now this, no, this goes here. Yes. So this goes here. Yes, and ha! DJ Rosie. Come here, you stupid hockey puck. We're getting more pets than I could have ever imagined at this house, on top of Mercury, who, I mean, good luck if you see him today. He's moping currently, because I finally came inside and yelled at him. I'm just gonna start prepping stuff for dinner. But I yelled at him because he was sharpening his claws on the good carpet. He knows not to, which is why when I snapped at him, I was like, hey! He took off and he's hiding, I'm pretty sure, underneath my chair, because that's where you hide. So good luck to see him today. Another pet that we have, so we keep our garbage cans like on that side of the house, right? So last week Thursday, I was taking the trash out to the road and I moved the garbage can. That's when I see this snail and I'm like, oh, a snail. I'm like, it's kind of dangerous for him here. So I pick him up and I'm like, whoa. I don't know a better spot to put him because I don't want him to bake, but like the front part of our house gets all the sun, like full sun, so much sun. And I'm like, oh, I know, I'll put him more towards this side of the house because out past this window here, there's like less sun. It's shady all the time. So I grab him and I'm like, all right. And then I see our little thing that our hose is in. I'm like, we hardly ever use the hose. I'll just stick him in here in the little hose thing. He can be nice and moist, eat all sorts of little grubs that might be underneath the hose bit. And I go to set him down and my finger slips and I hear it crunch and he drops into there. And I'm like, I killed him. I killed him. I just crunched his shell. He's gonna die forever. I should have just left him alone. Which sucks, because I think the snails are adorable. Part of that may be because Ryan Reynolds voiced a snail in one of my favorite kids' movies, but regardless, I do enjoy snails. So, imagine the glee and surprise when I go outside and I notice that Janice's plum tree, since we moved it into full sun and since it started raining a ton, just starts growing like that. Like it's got new leaves every day. Here, let's go see it. We're gonna go outside on a field trip. Maybe the cat will poke his head out because I'm going outside. We're outside now. Hello, welcome to Nashville. It's hot already. So, the plum tree, just right there. Look at that. Look at how good it's doing. Look at all those leaves. It was just a twig before, like a wand. And now it's looking like a shrub. It's looking like a tree. Look at it. Look at it back there. It's got a silhouette that looks vaguely tree-shaped. It's fantastic. Isn't God great? Go tree. So, after watching Grandma and Grandpa Bush on plant trees a lot, I'm thinking, maybe I need to water this thing daily. Especially when I consider like how freaking hot it is down here. I make the decision, okay, I'm gonna water this tree. And we're just gonna see what happens. See if it helps. So yesterday, I get home from work and I grab the hose, water the tree. I remember the flower seeds that I bought and I drag the hose over there to water that general area too, in case that area decides, oh, you know what? I'm gonna start growing flower seed. I'm really not expecting it to. There's a lot of ground foliage there. So I think that those seeds were like well, you tried. But I watered that one too, just in case. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean that they're not working hard. So I water the tree and I water the seeds and then I go to start winding up the hose again to put it back in our little pot that's for the hose. And then that's when I see it. The snail. It's back. And I'm like, what? You're still alive? So like I pick him up because I don't want to crush him putting the hose away. And I stick him on the brick and I spray down the brick so it's not too dry for him. So he's got a little bit of moisture. He's just kind of chilling there going like, the heck is going on? So I come in here and we bought a bunch of strawberries at the farmer's market with Grandma on Saturday. So I get a strawberry and I eat most of it and I've got a little bit left on the stem and I stick him on it and he like starts eating and he's like, oh, strawberry. And then I remember reading somewhere that snails can feel being pet and they like it. So I'm like, with this tiny little snail, stick him back down next to the hose thing. Because I'm like, it's dangerous in there, don't be in there. So Come back today. Guess who's back in the host thing? So I did the same thing. I gave him a little bit of strawberry and talked to him for a little bit and pet him. Got a photo. I'm trying to think of a good name for him. I prefer names that have alliteration, especially for animals that don't have too much of a personality, or plants, like that kind of a thing. So if you know of an excellent sounding S name for a snail, please let me know. Because, I mean, I could just name him Turbo, like the snail from the movie. I mean, I'd rather be more original. I have more creativity in me than that, please. Anyway, I'm cutting up all this squash because gotta cook it up so you can eat it. And the leftovers that I have from last night aren't really gonna be dinner enough. So if I just cut up all of it, I can cook all of it and then have some more squash for the rest of the week, which is good because I've been craving squash. Thinking I'm gonna do some olive oil, some Italian spices, then probably maybe a little bit of Parmesan, but saute it, get it all nice and soft, but not like slimy. Sounds good, right? It's a little bit of salt and pepper. It's push. Anywho, had a very busy and exciting weekend. Grandma McFeeters came down to visit, along with her friend Ruth Ann, who was a riot. That's a Grandma McFeeters word. I got let off of work kind of late Friday. There was a lot of stuff that I had to wrap up, and went over the hill, and there was Grandma just chilling in her vehicle. And I'm like, how long have you guys been here? And she was like, oh, about 45 minutes. I'm like, what? So why didn't you call me? I could have zipped through work faster. That's right. She's like, well, I just thought I had the time wrong and that you told me you were going to be off at a different time, or that my watch was wrong because of the time change. No, I just was trying to get all this stuff done before I left for the weekend because I wanted to think about Grandma and not about chicken. So Grandma gets here and I'm like, well, what do you guys want to do? You guys want me to go ahead and drive around so you can see Nashville? I can show you the stuff. And they're like, we've been sitting in the car for a while. How about we just like get up and walk around? I'm like, okay. Because I know like in my head what kind of stuff is nearby. When you don't have a lid, you have to improvise. So then I was like, well, where do you guys want to go? And they both sit there and they look at each other and they go, well, we wouldn't mind a good margarita. Well, yeah, I know you guys like margaritas, but Cinco de Mayo's on Sunday. We're going to go get them then. You sure you want to get one tonight? Well, we can do it both days. Yes, ma'am. Heard. Rough day at work. You don't got to tell me twice. So we start walking, and I'm like, you know what would be fun? I want to get a photo with you guys in front of as many murals as we pass by this weekend. And I think that's something I want to start doing with everybody who comes down here, and just see like who ends up taking the most photos in front of a mural. Because I feel like that would be a lot of fun. Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm putting in Italian seasoning from Kroger, garlic powder from Aldi, and I'm going to put in a little bit of salt. This is pink Himalayan salt, and I gotta be careful not to put in too much because it pours pretty fast. And I'm gonna put in some Parmesan. So again, we have olive oil, Parmesan, Italian seasonings, sea salt, and pepper. It's gonna taste good. So we throw on our shoes and we start walking, and then we're not even off the street, and Janisa comes driving by. And I'm like, what? You weren't supposed to be off work until like 20 minutes from now. She's like, I know, we got up early. And Grandma was like, well, do you want to come with us? Yeah. So she comes with us. She's like, I gotta go change at the house, but I'll be there soon. Okay, fine, great, no worries. Grandma and Ruth Ann and I start walking. And this is the first mural that we stop at. This is kind of just up the street from me. It's actually on the back of a car wash, believe it or not. So I got those photos there, and then we start walking down the street, and then I noticed this mural, which is pretty cool. The whole building's done up like graffiti style, but this is one that's on the side that's really cute. And then Grandma starts laughing. She's like, look, the little bird looks like it's on your head. And then they're both laughing at that. And then this is of the Lincoln mural that's off my street. It's kind of hard to see there, but it's in the background. And then this is another one on that market building that we got. So then we got to the Mexican restaurant, and Janisa joined us there. We had the margaritas. I had a sangria. Everything was delicious. I have not had a bad experience at Las Maracas. Totally recommend it. If you ever need to see it, let me know. We could go to there together. The prices are actually fairly reasonable. And then I didn't take any pictures on the way back, but like I think everybody at our table had 2 margaritas. Like the big ones. So we're walking back home, and we noticed this furniture shop that has some cute stuff in it. And Janice and I are like, we need like a stool to go in between our chairs that we can set drinks on, or that like we can use as an emergency seat if we have to. Also, we're looking at like lamps because we need some lamps in our living room. So we're like this on the window, like looking in. Oh, that looks awesome. Look at that. Look at how shiny it is. Whoa. We go around to the door, and I'm like, oh yeah, they closed at 6. And like, it was like 6:15, 6:30. And I'm like, yeah, it's locked. And then this guy's like, ladies, I hate to disappoint ladies. Let me let you in. And he unlocks the door for us. And we're like, you don't have to. It's okay. We're just heading home. He goes, no, I couldn't leave you guys all disappointed like that. Come on in. So 2 old grannies and 2 young ladies walk into the store. And we're like, because like everything in there is really cool, and then it wasn't badly priced. But Grandma and Ruth Ann fell in love with a couple of different paintings. There were some paintings in the back that were really cool. They're like mixed mediums. They had paint on them, and then fabric and metal. And like the paintings that we like, there was a ballerina, and her dress was fabric, but it was like painted over the fabric, so it looked like the painting was just like coming out. There was another one with train tracks that had real metal for the rail going up, and it was just cool stuff. And they had a lot of cool shelves and stuff. Like nothing that we could buy at the drop of a hat, but like there was a gray little end table that had like a cabinet door on it and a little tiny drawer that probably could fit in between our chairs. And it was like $45, which really isn't bad. I think he said that he got it from Wayfair, and he's selling it for like 50% off of Wayfair's prices. So honestly, not a bad deal. But yeah, so we really had a good time there. We were probably in the store for 45 minutes just looking at stuff. We didn't buy anything, but he was like, we do free deliveries, and Grandma's like, what about to Fort Wayne, Indiana? And he's like, so we keep walking home, and we take a turn down the street to look at some of these homes and houses in the area, because they are really neat houses in our area. Well, then Ruth Ann starts looking at the flowers, and she's like, look at that peony. That peony is in full bloom. Holy, look at how big those flowers are. That's like a June plant. And I'm like, what? Yeah, like we are in the middle of summer here for what normally was the middle of summer for Indiana. I'm like, I tried explaining it to Kelly, Sarah, Jack, and Neil when they were down here, but it's like the seasons start earlier here. Like when you see the calendar and it's like March and it's green, like it's actually green here. It's not just still snowy. We kept walking. I'm like, look, Ruth Ann, there's a hydrangea that's in full bloom. And she's like, what on earth? Like, just crazy stuff like that did flower-wise that I could be like, well, look at this. Isn't this insane? Because I knew enough to do that, and I felt very proud. And she was also like, whoa! It was great. So we continue home, and we get home, and we're kind of like, we're not tired, but Grandma and Ruth Ann are loopy. I was probably also kind of loopy. It was those margaritas, man. So we're sitting in the chairs, and I'm like, well, let's play categories. Grandma, you and I played it before with Aunt Phyllis, and you just thought it was the best thing ever. So Grandma's like, okay. So then, like, I kind of explained to Ruth Ann, you know, you roll the die, you write down everything that starts with whatever letters on the die, you only have 3 minutes, you have to work your way down the list. They're like, okay, we can do that. Well, we roll the letter W, and then working our way down, preface this was our last game, because it was getting rough. Grandma was forgetting rules. Ruth Ann, when she went to start this list, instead of writing down things that start with a W, just started writing whatever it was that came to mind. For TV celebrities, she wrote down Dr. Oz for the letter W. So anyway, so this video starts, which Janisa took. Grandma starts reading the question. The subject was things that have balls. Now, before I start this video, I will start by saying this was after margaritas, and there is some adult language. FYI.
I'm gonna die. Things with balls. Number 7.
I can't read what I wrote, but it was something with a D.
Was it dicks?
It was.
I have walrus. I have walrus! Oh God, I can't see it. I can't. Dicks. Oh, call an ambulance. Oh my God. I can't believe you have
we both have walrus. Why do we both think of walrus balls?
I don't know. Oh.
That is odd.
You think that's odd? Okay. Dr. Oz is odd.
What did I write there? What was it? Things with
Oh.
I don't know what I wrote. Something with a D or something. I can't.
Oh.
I erased it.
when I found out I was on the wrong track.
I can't even read it.
Was it a D?
It was a B. Bingo something.
Oh yeah, a bingo game.
That's what it was. Bingo game.
Oh my God! I can't.
Oh, this is too much.
Oh my
this
Lord!
is really too much.
I went off the deep end.
Alright. Television stars.
Well, is Walter Cronkite a television?
Janisa
He
says
used to
yes.
Okay. Well,
Janisa, what was yours?
Wendy Williams.
I had Walter White, so Walter's cross out.
um,
I had Dr. Oz.
oh God, I can't take this.
Alright.
Yeah, the
Things
deer
in a
side
park.
is definitely hot.
Water slide.
Water fountains.
Oh, water crosses
9.
out.
A water crosses out?
Yep, things. I had water.
I had walking pads.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Well, that's out. My water's out.
Your balls are out.
Okay.
Countries.
Yeah.
Wakanda.
Wakanda.
You made that up.
It is a fictitious.
Somebody did, but it wasn't her.
It's a fictitious country, but it's from the Black Panther movie.
Oh.
What?
It
Well,
counts.
it's not a true.
Verify.
It counts.
From another nerd that doesn't live in a box.
You're full of crap.
If it's not a real place, if it's a made up.
Can't be.
It doesn't say.
Well, that's fine, but then we gotta take away her Gotham point, because Gotham doesn't exist as a city.
Oh.
So, therefore,
Are you sure?
definitely.
Fine.
Suck it, Grandma.
It is a nickname,
Wakanda.
but not a real place.
Wakanda forever.
Huh?
Stones or gems?
Worry Stone.
Ooh,
Worry Stone.
Good
Nothing.
one.
What'd you have?
Nothing. I
Yeah.
don't think of one.
Musical instrument. I couldn't think of anything.
Walnut knockers.
But does that not go with balls, too?
Could have.
Walnut knockers. I have never, ever heard of that term.
Okay, I don't know. I made it up.
Yeah, I
I lost
figured
it
as
too.
much.
Woodwinds.
What?
Woodwinds.
Oh! Oh! I was even
Wow.
sitting here. I'm like, I know it's something orchestra. I was literally going through my head. Violins.
The musical
Violas.
of all the people.
Okay, and then there's clarinets, horns,
two.
French horns, oboes, bassoon, cellos, bass, trombones.
You would have figured it out
trumpets.
pretty bassoon.
Just the term.
So we didn't do much of anything else that night. Let's see. Saturday morning, what did we do? Oh, went to the farmer's market. Duh. We got up. I showed them where I worked, and so they could see the decorations from the tea party that I did on Monday. And they got a Chick-fil-A biscuit and a 4-count mini because I'd never had either of those before. And then we went to the farmer's market that was nearby, and then we went to. Then we came home and started getting ready because we had the Star Wars pub crawl. So Janisa and I dressed up. So here's some photos that Grandma took. I've got my Star Wars skirt and my Jedi cloak and my lightsaber. Janisa is dressed up as Leia from Endor, and that was right when the Uber pulled up, and we're both looking cute. But we had a lot of fun doing that. But then we met this lovely couple, George and Julia. Julia actually made that dress herself, and she won the best female costume. There's a different guy that won the best male costume who was wearing a Jedi cloak and had like a ZZ Top hair and beard and was wearing a neon flashing cowboy hat. So he won for country points, I guess. But then we had a lot of fun. We left from the bar crawl and then we went to a shot bar called Big Shots. It had some really good live music going. And then we went from Big Shots to HQ, which is our favorite bar off Broadway. And they definitely had a May 4th celebration that was awesome. They had decorations up and they had Star Wars themed drinks. So we just hung out there for a while. Megan joined us. We had a blast. Even during the pub crawl, like we talked to George and Julia a lot. And when Megan finally arrived, she brought card decks with her. So we started playing card games. We played Go Fish. We had a blast. So it was fun. Then Sunday morning, got up, went to church, had a meeting about Guatemala, which, by the way, I am going to Guatemala. I'm going on a trip to help bring, there's two parts of it. One part is VBS with kids. It's going to be going to one location, and another part is bringing a doctor and a couple of nurse technicians and a pharmaceutical person that has pharmacy experience, and we're bringing pharmaceutical drugs with us up into the mountains, into rural Guatemala, Pueblo, and we're gonna give doctor and like first aid to people that don't normally have access to that. And I'm pretty sure that's the group I'm going on. So I'm excited to do that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Total trip cost is like $1,500 even. I've already paid a $500 deposit, and there was a very generous person from the church who actually donated $280 to everybody going on this trip, which was fantastic. Got a letter from mom and dad this week, like literally Monday morning got it, and it was mom and dad very generously giving both Janice and I some money for our trips. So Janice is not going to Guatemala, Janice is going to Cambodia to help combat sex trafficking and slavery. It's something that her heart is really set on. But we both have the experience now of being told, oh, you need all of these immunizations. So she had all of her shots yesterday, and I get all of mine Monday. So like I'm getting a Tdap, which is like tetanus and typhoid and all these other things, and then I'm getting a Hep A shot, and then we both are gonna have to take malaria pills for the entirety. Oh, look who's out. We're both gonna have to take malaria pills for the entirety of the trip and start like a week before the whole time we're gone, and then 3 days after I get back. That'll be fun. So there's a lot of info in that meeting, especially since I've never flown commercially, and they were just busting through stuff fast. Like, well, when you go on, you got 2 carry-ons and 2 other bags, and we're actually gonna use one of those bags to put VBS stuff inside of, and your carry-ons are yours. And if you can go ahead and get TSA pre-check, that'll make you go through real fast. And if you want to get the global entry, that'll make you go through the global entry even faster when you're going over there. Make sure you have your passport. And I'm like, okay, TSA is the thing that says that you can't have water, I think. And every time I had a question, he'd keep going, and I would just lower my hand. No, wait, no, what's that? And I would forget my first question. It was bad, but I took lots of notes, and I guess there's another lady going, she has to be a mom, because she's like, don't worry, Larissa, you and I will do the buddy system. Well, I even said, I was like, I think I'm going to need the buddy system through the airport, because I've never done this before, and he's like, that's thing number 3. And it was like, you're ahead of the game, Larissa. I'm like, great, okay, A+. But like, we're also being told, you can use the water to shower, but nothing else. Use bottled water for everything. Use bottled water for brushing your teeth. And I'm like, but then he's like, and we're going to be seeing some Mayan ruins. So, I mean, yes, because I've always wanted to see all ancient ruins. Giza, Machu Picchu, Chichen Itza, Tibet. I can go on. Always wanted to see temples and stuff. But even doing some research, I found out that the Mayan ruins that are kind of close to Antigua, which I think we're going to Antigua, are still used in Mayan ceremonies to this day, which was very interesting. But then I was telling the girls that I work with at work that speak Spanish, like, yeah, I'm going to go to Guatemala for a missions trip. And they're like, oh, well, you need to talk to Adelso in the back because he's from Guatemala. So I was like, Adelso, mi amigo, necesito practicar español, por favor. And he's like, pero sabe español. And I'm like, no, pero que voy a Guatemala y necesito las palabras específicas para Guatemala que no sé en español ahora porque solo practico con personas de Mexico or de Honduras, because we only have people from Mexico or Honduras. And he's like, okay. Like, he's always really quiet. He's like this little guy too. He's like 4 foot something. I need to practice and brush up on that and get poked with needles multiple times. Not really thrilled about that. I also have my TSA pre-screening appointment to set everything up on Monday. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. But like, the trip itself is gonna be totally paid for. So the only things that I still need to pay for, like this TSA pre-screening thing, is $85 that I'm gonna want to pay off. I mean, it's good for 5 years, which is great because I know that Janice and I are then gonna fly to in New York and like do all this stuff. But I want to get that done because I want to stay with the group as much as possible. I need to buy some things like a passport pouch to wear under my clothing because they stressed the importance of always having your passport on your person. There's like just a few other things that I have to buy. I'm asking people around because like I don't have airplane luggage and I need like big bags to put things in for the missions trip. I think a coworker is going to loan me a big camo bag to put stuff in because like I said, one of the bags going isn't going to have anything of mine in it. It's just for like VBS stuff, and pharmaceutical stuff. So there's not going to be a vlog that week, and I can't post anything on social media while I'm down there. But I can do stuff like when I come back. I can share everything with you guys. I'm really excited. I'm nervous. I'm a little overwhelmed, but like I'm ready to go. I don't need any fiscal support at the moment to cover the cost of the trip, but I would always welcome thoughts and prayers and any like wisdom you have for traversing through different countries, because the only experience I have with that was driving to Canada. So anyway, after the very overwhelming church meeting, we got Grandma and Ruth Ann, who had they ate a leisurely breakfast and then walked around to see the homes near the church, which are also very ornate and elaborate. And then we all went to Legendary Milkshakes, which is definitely deserving of the name. So this is all four of us. Grandma ate the chocolate chip milkshake and Janice and I split the sweet and salty. And yes, that is an entire slice of cheesecake on the top of our milkshake. So this is ours and this one's Grandma's. The milkshake, once you got down to it, was amazing. It was so good, but it was lots of fun. I'm very glad that Grandma came down to visit. And I texted her, I'm like, thank you for coming all the way down here. It's so nice to see people I love and the places I live, because then I remember that they were here and I don't feel as lonely. Speaking of people coming to visit, I got in Snapchat from Mariah some things where she's like, Lance and I got time off work. I think Nicole can come down too. Do you guys have space for us to come hang out? I think they're supposed to get here Monday and then they'll leave Thursday night, which is good because then Janice's sister gets here Friday night and is here for 2 weeks. And Janice is like super excited about that. I'm not going home for Mother's Day and I'm like fighting against the impulse to make myself busy because I feel guilty that I'm not going home for Mother's Day. But like I've talked to Mom about it and I really think that she's like totally okay with it. Just kind of bummed because I feel like I should be up there for Grandma Bush on too. But anyway, very excited because I've got Mariah and Lance and Nicole coming down, and then Janice's sister, and then Mom and Dad come down at the same time that Janice is gone in Cambodia, and then I leave for Guatemala. And that's like tick, 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 like one after the other, which is very exciting. That's a lot to edit, and I need to get it done tonight. That way we can go to our last life group meeting that's tomorrow for a while. So thank you for joining me and for listening to this very long and drawn out video. I really appreciate it. I hope that you had a great week. I hope that you have a great week, and I hope that I will see you next week.